Buckingham Palace is said to have removed its unofficial never complain, never explain policy. Well, it's really the Queen's policy, in the wake of that family rift with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
Yes, the move comes after the Queen was reportedly upset to see headlines misrepresenting her discussions with the couple, as well as statements issued by those close to them. Well, joining us is journalist Ate Jewell and former royal editor at The Sun, Duncan Larkham. Very good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Duncan, let's get this straight first off. Is it true, do you think, that the Queen is genuinely unhappy about what was said about whether she was asked or told that Harry and Meghan were naming their baby daughter Lilibet? Because we understood from American sources that they had asked her, but then Johnny Diamond, the BBC royal correspondent, was given a briefing that very much wasn't the case, which then led to legal threats being made against the BBC. Do we actually know the truth? Because I think for a lot of people watching, they're thinking, sources, how reliable are they? When you're a royal correspondent, they have to be pretty reliable, don't they?
Yeah, they do. The relationship between the journalists and the palace is one, as you say, obviously the Queen's mantra of never complain, never explain. It involves public statements, but privately, I can assure you, I have first-hand experience, Susanna, of the fact that they do complain and they do explain behind the scenes. So it's that issue of whether or not they come out and clarify things publicly. It's very difficult for the Queen at the moment because Prince Harry is using just about every sort of means possible to throw these truth bombs in her direction. And yes, we do have this, but the truth is, we really don't know. I mean, you can choose. Do you believe Prince Harry's version of events, that he asked and spoke to the Queen before he chose her sort of pet childhood name for his daughter? Or whether, you know, you believe the sources of the BBC saying that they were briefed by the palace? I don't think that this is something that the BBC would ever make up. The guidance comes from the palace, and we take that as read because, you know, in my experience, the palace do not lie.
Well, I can see what the motivation for Harry to say that he checked with the Queen. He said he did it in a phone conversation with the Queen. I can see his motivation for saying that because he was aware of the criticism that they might not have checked. But I can't really see why the palace would brief the BBC that didn't happen. What would be their motivation for denying it if they're not telling the truth? So I must say my own instincts are to believe what the palace is saying on this one. But you say that, you know, we've had this mantra of never complain, never explain for many years, but it is breaking down. I mean, we saw Prince William after 3-4 weeks ago, after the Oprah Winfrey thing, saying we are very much not a racist family. He actually said that on camera. So are we now seeing a breakdown of this long-held tradition? And is it rather dangerous? Because if they correct some things, because they say they're not true, but other things which may be offensive to them are true, they won't correct them. Yeah. So we'll be starting to interpret, won't we, the denials as against the silences.
It would certainly herald a sea change in the Queen's sort of traditional attitude and behaviour in terms of actually coming out and clarifying things. I mean, I think she needs to be a bit careful, otherwise we're going to have to bring back Jeremy Kyle to sort this out and have Harry and the Queen in a studio. You know, I mean, maybe that's what we need, but it would be a radical departure from her usual. No, there's very good reasons why the Queen does adopt that mantra of not getting drawn into public debates about who said what to who when. Yeah. I can't see that changing. It's worked for her. She's 95 years old. I don't think it's time. Remember, this was a Queen that when she came to the throne, the main medium would have been the wireless, the radio. And now we've got Spotify, the internet, Harry using all these modern sort of social media to get his message across. I think it's probably bit premature to say that the Queen is going to go down that line. If she did, hold on, it's going to be a very entertaining summer.
So you think it would be a mistake? Ate, what do you think? Do you think it would be a mistake if this policy erodes and we start getting these briefings from the palace on a much more aggressive basis? And we're really talking about Harry and Meghan. We're not talking about anything else. It's all about them. Do you think it would be a mistake for them to start answering back?
Not at all. I think Harry and Meghan are a new generation. They are begging to be dealt with. There's always that one person in a family who tells the truth and gets punished for it. And I think, you know, this is a new age. There is social media. There is all this. People are begging for information. And I think if you don't bend, you break. And the institution of the monarchy is not just, an institution, it's also a family. And I think it's pretty fair to say this is a dysfunctional family, which I think millions of us can relate to. And telling the truth and being open is one of the fastest, easiest ways to heal. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be comfortable, but I think it's about healing not only a family, but also adapting an institution to a new age. Post-COVID, post-Black Lives Matter, post-everything, people are very, very different. And I think it's time to drop the stiff upper lip, down a whiskey, and just ignore things, because we all know that is not the healthy way to go.
So in the wake of the Oprah interview, Ate, do you think that a senior member of the royal family should have sat down with a major broadcaster here and done a sort of point-by-point rebuttal to the things that they took issue with?
Not necessarily. We all saw what happened with Prince Andrew in his interview. So I just think it's about being more open, making statements, and I think a lot of confusion would be cleared up. I think being open and honest is always the best.
So you're saying they need to be open and honest and clear things up, but it's actually a mistake for them to do interviews? I don't understand what you're suggesting should happen.
I think, making statements, confirming things, and just being open. I don't know if it's necessarily, we want the Queen sitting down with Oprah. I wouldn't mind, but I'm saying that.
Tell you what, that would get massive viewing figures.
It will have to happen.
But
I'd watch it.
But I have to say, I take issue with you, Ate, on this, because I don't really want to see any family washing their dirty linen in public. I mean, I agree with you, it's important to talk, and we all know that Harry's had acres of therapy, and he's had these conversations in private. But I don't think it's remotely appropriate for him to actually talk in the detail that he has in public about his grandparents and about his father. I just don't think I don't want to hear it. And when I do, I'm embarrassed for that family, because I know that I'd hate it just as a family member myself, as a family man, I loathe it. Speaking from the Sun's point of view, it makes good copy, doesn't it? But it is deeply embarrassing. Do you think Harry has crossed the line, however healthy it might be for his state of mind?
We're from a different generation. I'm in my 40s. I grew up in a Caribbean home where you do not air your dirty laundry. But what has that done for families? What has it done for the royal family? It just makes liars and adulterers out of you when you don't tell the truth and when you're not open. We're in a new age.
Let's ask Duncan what he thinks on that question. I mean, you're a journalist and this is good copy, as I said, but do you find it personally embarrassing to hear the way Harry's talking?
Well, I think we've got to get some perspective. I mean, people talked about Princess Diana's interview in 1995, where she talked about three in the relationship and so on. Harry's gone way beyond that in terms of actually talking about things that are very, very intimate to the royal family, about how he was brought up. Does his father, who's about to be king one day, does he feel trapped? He's raising these very fundamental issues about his own family. And I think there is a sense that the royals will need to kind of clarify that and stand firm. But I can assure you, as soon as they start going down that route of responding to these truth bombs, trying to clarify certain things, as you say, Richard, then what do you do when something comes along that you don't want to clarify? Well, then you're effectively, you get sucked in.
Yeah.
That's not what we need from this royal family. And I really do think that the Queen will resist it at all costs, regardless of what we see in the papers yesterday about this possibly changing. I don't think it will.
I don't know how Harry can do it. I mean, I wrote a book it was called Fathers and Sons, and I wrote about my father in some detail and the way he behaved and my grandfather, but they're both dead. I would never have written that, ever, when they were both, or either one of them was still alive. Do you get any sense yet that Harry is beginning to have second thoughts about this policy of just letting it all out?
Well, I mean, obviously now he's in a period of parental leave, and that could last sort of eight weeks or more. And I think the royal family would certainly welcome a bit of silence from the Western Californian front, if you like, for the time being. Obviously, that is possibly the naming of Lilibet, might be a big olive branch from the couple, but they need to back that up now with really saying, look, enough is enough. You've had your say, Harry, you've had your say. Just now, rein it in. Save those therapy sessions for the couch, not Oprah Winfrey's sofa.
Hear, hear. Couldn't agree more.
Duncan, Assay, thanks very much indeed.